Yeah, it says end time hardline. Russia warns of catastrophic consequences if U.S. strikes Iranian nuclear sites. So with all that, I want to give all praises and all honor and all glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakakwadash. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well and do well. The elder apostles, bishops in Connecticut, to the bishops, the preachers, the teachers, the evangelists, and the four winds, preaching in truth and sincerity, risking your lives more now than ever, the hopeful elect, Shalom, to the Israelite foreigners, whose phenotype may look like another nation, but bloodline goes back to Israel through your father and have come back to the fold. Shalom, to you sisters, you Akwathium, who listen and learn under your husband, which is your spiritual leader, with meekness and with silence. This your brother Aram Yahawada with the lesson. Yes, it says, Russia has just issued a stark warning to the United States, cautioning that any military strikes on Iran nuclear facilities could lead to catastrophic consequences for the Middle East and beyond, right? Woo! Babaku Shah, please let that happen. But yeah, it's going to pretty soon. The water Yahweh Bashem was shy for your word, and your word is true, man. Right? Yeah, so it says the statement delivered by Russian Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei Rahakov came amid escalating tensions following U.S. President Donald Trump's recent threat to bomb Iran unless it agrees to a nuclear deal with Washington. Hey, man, he about to do his job, man, what the Most High set him up to do, right? Yeah, so this says this development has reunited global concerns over the fragile balance of power in the region, and multiple news outlets reporting on the potential fallout, right? Yeah, so this is Reuters, U.S. domestic. It says Trump stokes trade war as world reels from tariff shock, right? This was by these people, David and Joe and Philip. Yes, they all collectively wrote the exact same thing, obviously, or whatever. This is Washington, Beijing, Brussels. This is Reuters. President Donald Trump's move to impose sweeping tariffs on U.S. imports sparked threats of retaliation on Thursday, which that's today, because if you look, it said it was only 2 hours ago. So that's when must have been whenever he announced it. As companies and governments rush to count the cost from an escalating tariff war that threatens to shake up global alliance, right? So this is part of adding to World War III, right? Because a lot of wars start off as pretty much trade wars, start off economically, right? Because ultimately this is an economic struggle, especially for America, right? Especially for someone who used to being on top economically, and now what are you? I don't know. It was a couple years back. Saying they were like America's like the eleventh richest country, right? You went from one being number one to 11, and then now these other countries are you know declaring to not use the dollar. So you can't be 11 anymore. What are you, maybe 20, 22? Like you're slipping, right? You're losing that power. So this so-called ways to get it back, and and the thing that Trump is doing, it kind of makes sense. If you go somewhere else, and when you go to Europe, Europeans are driving European cars, right? Because they're not super expensive, right? They even show you in these movies. How many times have you actually really seen American cars in these foreign movies? You don't. They're pretty much driving their own cars. But put that on the other foot, so to speak. Come to America, watch American movies, walk in American streets, right? On an average everyday basis, and you're gonna see a lot of foreign cars. The foreign cars make a lot more. It's cheaper. It makes a lot more economic sense because they actually last. They're not breaking down like these American cars. So what he's doing is making sense as far as that, but he's not doing it because he cares about the people. He's doing it to cause World War III, whether he know it or not, right? Because this is all part of the Lord's movie.
All right, everybody. My wife just asked me how much time we have left, and let me tell you, I'm going to say the same thing to you. It could be today, or it could be a couple of weeks from now. What we have to do is start taking things very seriously and get ready just as much as we can. The Trump administration has said that $4 trillion worth of company investments are already beginning to move back into the United States government. And what he has said, in a quote, some left decades ago, and he speaks of globalization. They are all coming back. And what they did is they're basically saying the CHIPS Act, which rewarded billion-dollar firms with no incentives to produce anything inside of the USA. Now these firms are going to say they need to move back here. New investments are already rolling in. You've seen Hyundai's $20 billion plan. That's including a $5 billion steel plant, state of Louisiana. Honda in Indiana, they're expanding. General Motors reviving their idle plants. Trump has said, make it here, you'll get no tariffs. That is why they're coming back, because let's face it, they want more money. The NATO Secretary General has said that, yes, Europe needs to know, and we talked about this, how America still has NATO's back. But America must be prepared for NATO allies to step up and play their part. So this was a very important engagement. NATO said that, yes, we need America, and let's face it, NATO cannot take on Russia without the USA. But they're also saying that America should be very concerned of a NATO presence on its borders without American involvement. They're saying they're going to build a more lethal NATO with or without the United States of America as they engage in a very dangerous global theater of war. Is anybody also still waiting for the Fort Knox visit? I know I am. Now, they have talked recently about everything. Probably 100% of it won't be there. The Ministry of Defense over in China has said that China is prepared to engage militarily with Iran if America makes the mistake of moving into Iranian territory. Now, I've already told you, we are there. This time is already here. We have moved our assets. We have moved our doctors, and we have moved our meals that are ready to eat. We have moved every single thing that we need to over into the Middle East. They're going to keep running this over and over again. And if that lets you know how serious it is, I want you to also look at what China is doing with Taiwan. China right now is moving in a never-ending circle and cycle their assets around Taiwan. What they're planning to do, and we saw some leaked government information about this, they want to have the rest of the world think it's just another Chinese exercise. That way America doesn't have its assets ready. The Indo-Pacific region doesn't have their assets ready. The Philippines can't come to help. Japan, South Korea, they're not ready. And then China will move. And when China moves quick, they're going to blockade not just Taiwan, but they're going to blockade the entire South China Sea. That means everything that you have stops. If they start a blockade over in the Middle East and they start a blockade in the Indo-Pacific, you get only what is produced inside of the USA. I'm all for Make America Great Again. As far as the idea, I'm all for making it inside of our country, making sure that our family members are employed to actually make the things that we need. But we have been conditioned on globalization. There's a huge geographic buffer, and a crisis is right in front of us. We need to be prepared for a full stop in all supplies to the grocery store, all supplies to Home Depot. Now, if you think for a moment that this country can continue to operate the way it does right now, they've built everything to break in 3 months to 3 years? That seems to be their magic ticket. If they can make it break in 3 months and you'll buy it again, it has to be under like $300. If they can make it break in 3 years and you'll buy it again, they can make it basically as much as they want to. We are seeing right now.
Yeah, so this is Isaiah chapter 13, verse 17. Behold, which means fix your eyes, look, pay attention. I will stir up the Medes, which is dealing with Russia, right? And well, obviously not just only Russia is going to protect Iran. China said they're going to protect Iran too, which is ancient Persia, right? Against them, right? Which is against Babylon, right? Which shall not regard silver, and as for gold, they shall not delight in it, man. Right? Yeah, so this is Jeremiah chapter 51, verse 11. Make bright the arrows, right? Which you seen that when Putin shot a nuclear missile into Ukraine, it wasn't nuclear. It didn't have the actual atoms in it, but it was a very powerful reaction, and that's without even, yeah, it shook people up. It scared them. Yeah, that thing was no joke, right? When you could see the impact and the damage that it did, and that's without the atoms, right? That they put in it, that's actually gonna makes it nuclear, right? Right, what you're talking about, ICBM missiles. Gather the shields, right? Hey, it's time for war, right? Tariff wars, right? Tariff wars turns into actual wars, right? Physical war. But this war, it's not like the war that it used to be, man. This is the war of so-called technology, drones and missiles, unmanned planes and vehicles, right? Everything's AI, more controlled type situation, right? Yahweh, right? All caps, all caps, which is Yahweh, which means he is the existing one. Yeah, it is fucking devil. You know, the thing just does it on its own. I didn't even do anything. And that's just the devil way of trying to interrupt the message, but the message is going out and it's loud and clear, right? So Yahweh, right? Bahasham, which means in the name. Yahweh Shai means he's salvation, right? It's coming to give salvation or deliver us, right? The hopeful elect, which will be the elect, which will all Israel shall be saved, through the regeneration and the reincarnation of our people, right? It says have risen up the spirit of the king of the Meeks, which is we just seen him Putin. He told him, hey, look, I'm gonna give you a starch warning, starch warning, a stern warning. I don't think I'm saying the word right, but it's basically like a stern or stark warning or strong warning, right? Don't even touch Iran. Then China gave the exact same warning, right? So you're dealing with two superpowers, right? Which plenty of their men are suited for war, right? For his devices, for his device is against what? Babylon. So you got the what is it? Satan 1, Satan 2, hypersonic missiles. You got the Su-35 and all the things that they have. You have the laser weapons that they have. That's top of the line. You got the Chinese laser weapons, top of the line, and all their jets and all these different things to destroy it, because it is the vengeance, right? So it's what the Lord wants to be done. It's the vengeance of Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, right? Bahasham Rakal Kodash, the vengeance of his temple, which means what? His people, right? Right? I'm gonna come here right here to prove that it's talking about the Lord's people, the temple. It says 1 Corinthians 3:16, know ye not, right? Which is talking to the Israelites, right? To the Lord's people. Know ye not that ye are the temple of the power, the Most High Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, that the Spirit of the Most High Power, Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Basham Rakal Kadash, dwelleth in you, right? Yeah, this is Jeremiah chapter 50, verse 9. For lo, which means to look, I will raise and cause to come up against Babylon, which is America, right? The daughter of Babylon, which is America. And it says an assembly of great nations, right? Which we're dealing with the BRICS, right? The BRICS nations, which they just said Russia, China, which are part of the BRICS, said that you bet not come against Iran, which is part of the BRICS, right? Great nations from the North Country, right over there, what you call Asia, right? And Russia's North Asia, right? The North Country, right? The main corporate, right, to come up against Babylon is Russia, right? Which is in the North Country, which is Russia. And they shall set themselves in array against her, which is talking about America, right? And Israel. From thence she shall be taken, right? America and Israel is going to be taken out the way, man. going to be destroyed. Their arrows, right, which is talking about them ICBM missiles, right, shall be as a mighty expert man, and none shall return in vain. So they're going to destroy, um, you know, mightily this place, America, Babylon the Great, right? They're not going to miss. You got the hypersonic missiles from Russia and China, and I believe even North Korea has been working on their hypersonic missile, which cannot be detected as far as radar. So, hey man, none is gonna miss their rank, right? Yeah, to come back right here, of course it says, "Behold, I will stir up the Medes, right, which is Russia, against them which should not regard their silver, and as for gold, they shall not delight in it." Right? Their bowls, right, which is talking about the ICBM missiles, their bowls shall dash the young men into pieces, and they shall have no pity upon the fruit of the womb. Their eyes shall not spare children, right? Which are talking about the ICBM missiles, right?
Launches. The cold launch and the hot launch. For example, the Russian R-36 ICBM, NATO code name SS-18 Satan, uses the cold launch method. Because of this launch method, the missile has a reload capability most other ICBMs don't have. The missile is normally stored in a container within the silo. Upon launch, the missile is ejected out of the silo by a piston that is pushed by a black powder charge. The missile's engines ignite above the ground after leaving the silo. What this means is that the silo itself is not damaged by the launching of the missile like a hot launch would. It is possible that the spent container be removed and a new loaded container inserted into the silo in a very short period of time. On the other side, the Minuteman III was a hot launch missile, meaning its engines ignited inside the silo. The silo would have to be repaired before any new missile could be loaded. This would be considerably longer than a cold launch silo would take. There are two types of missile launches. The cold...
Yeah, so that's basically what the ICBM missile. So this is Joel 2 and 3. A fire devoureth before them, right? And the main one that you see the fire burning before the missile gets shot off is the hot launch. But you kind of seen the fire come out a little bit even on the cold launch. So you could see, I'll put that there for an example, that a fire devours before them, right, which is talking about the ICBM missiles, and behind them a flame, and then that thing which propelled them to push them out is, all that jet fuel to push them out, right? And a lot of time that the jet fuel comes out and it's burning, and it comes up around the flame in front of the missile as it's coming out. You can see the flames coming out around it, almost like a pot, like a kettle. The flames is coming out, and then it shoots out, right? And flames before them and behind them. A fire devour before them, and behind them a flame burneth the land, right, which is going to hit America, Babylon the Great, is as a garden, right? Everything is so-called, normal, right? Or the new normal they're going to have going on, right? Everything's beautiful. You got grass and trees and things like that, right? The Garden of Eden before it, right? Which Eden means paradise. Before them, and behind them a desolate wilderness, right? So once the ICBM missiles hit, America's going to be turned into a desert, right? The true manifest destiny, right? Which is the ICBM missiles turning this place into a desert, to a wasteland, right, as Sodom and Gomorrah, right? Yea, and none shall escape, right? Skip down to 7. And they shall run like mighty men, right? Showing you that was the missiles that's talking about, right? They shall climb the walls like men of war, and they shall march every one on his way, that and they shall not break their rank, which is talking about the missiles, right? It says, neither shall one thrust another, they shall walk every one in his path, and when they fall on the sword, they shall not be wounded. So that shows you that's not a man. If a man fall on the sword, he's going to be wounded. So it's talking about the ICBM missiles, because they have their so-called defense system. So America's defense system is not going to prevent the destruction of this place. That's basically what that's saying, right? The defense system is weak, right? They shall run to and fro in the city. What city is that? Babylon the Great, that great city, right? They shall run upon the walls, right? Right, and the walls of America is basically the ocean, because that's pretty much what Zelensky said. He said you have an ocean between you, and you not feel, but pretty soon you will feel, right? Hey, that's dealing with, hey, that's all prophecy, man. And the Lord had him prophesied real quick, right? Whether if it was willingly or unwillingly, the Lord, is the author of all these things, man, right? Shall climb up upon the horses, right? Horses meaning power. Those ICBM missiles have a lot of power. They shall enter into the windows of the thief. And who's the thief? America, Babylon the Great, man. The self-proclaimed so-called white man who you stole all of America, right? And go out into the atmosphere, out into, to the firmament, out into where, the ozone layer, whatever it is, up towards that, but it's going to come back down, right? And make a and devour this place. And the earth, which is not talking about the whole earth, it's just mostly talking about America is going to be destroyed. I mean, of course, Russia get a missile from America, one or two or something. China get one or two, and of course, Israel will get a couple. Missiles hit Israel. Maybe Iran, right? North Korea. But it ain't gonna destroy this place. Is gonna be totally wiped out. You ain't gonna know where one city end or where it begin. This place, Babylon the Great, is where the Lord's his ultimate judgment, his vengeance is upon this place, America. The earth, right, which just talking about some soil, it's gonna get burned up, which is talking about America. Is gonna be destroyed mostly. The earth shall quake, right? Because what these missiles are hitting different strategic places. And the earth is gonna move, right? Because missiles, and I'm talking about, we're talking about nuclear missiles, right? Nuclear, straight power. The earth is going to move, right? When because they're gonna have their retaliation missiles from America. Gonna hit Russia, hit China. You know what I mean? North Korea, whatever. Of course, they're gonna shoot missiles on Israel. And then you even got the allies that's gonna shoot missiles upon America, right? And then maybe there'll be some places in Europe that get hit by missiles too, here and there. But the Lord has this, but the earth is gonna abide forever. right? That's my point of what I'm trying to make. The earth is not going nowhere, but there are going to be places that get smoltered, so to speak. It's gonna get hit with some high powered, flaming fire, burning ICBM missiles, right? The only place that's gonna be complete a desert is America, right? So that's the point I'm trying to get. So you don't think that the whole earth is gonna be going away? No, the earth shall quake before them, the heavens shall tremble, and the sun and the moon shall be darkened, and the stars shall withdraw their shine, right? With all the burning, the smoking, right? You know how you ever see a fire and then that smoke is really, really black? Well, imagine it's not just a little forest fire or fire or just a house fire. You're talking about a whole country is on fire. The entire country is on fire. And then you got an entire landmass in China on fire. You got an entire big landmass because all of China and all of Russia's not going to be destroyed, but there's going to be a nice sized landmass that's going to be on fire from the ICBM missiles that hit there. That's why they're getting their people ready, right? They're getting their people ready. Even in Europe, they're getting their people ready for nuclear fallout. Um, I believe they said Moscow has bunkers that they can say that they can the entire city of Moscow has a bunker to go into. Their citizens and everything, right? Yeah, so this is news, business news. Trying to see what kind of news company is this. The Mirror US? I guess that's what it's called. The Mirror US business. Costco selling World War III. Hey, they're not even hiding it. They're letting you know what it is, straight up and down. World War III doomsday survival kits as EU, right, which is Europe, tell residents to start stockpiling, right? Yeah, right, yeah, EU. The European Union has urged its citizens to build survival kits in case of war or natural disasters. And Costco has the perfect product for the moment, as the EU, Slovakia, as the EU advised residents to stockpile every supplies, enough supplies for at least 72 hours, which you're gonna need more than that, bro. So if they telling you, you might as well double that, triple that. You might as well stockpile for a year, 2 years, 3 years. If you're gonna stockpile, you might as well stockpile for about 2 or 3 years. Cause hey, this thing is gonna go long. It's gonna be long, 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 long. Right? It's gonna go way longer than you think. It ain't gonna go 2 or 3 years, but because the Lord is on His way, right? The Lord's shortening the times, shortening the days, right? Right. Yeah. So Matthew 24:3, and as He sat upon the Mount of Olive, which He is Yahweh Shai, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, or willfully ignorant calls Jesus Christ, which his real name is Yahweh Shai, right? Which in Nate's case, right, he willfully denies. But keep on going. The amount all of the disciples, right, which became apostles, came unto him privately, right, just among themselves, saying, "Tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the signs," right? And we're seeing the signs right now of thy coming, right? The second coming of our Lord, right? Second coming of who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. His real name is Yahweh Shai. It's not going to be a pasty face, long hair. Well, it tells you that long hair is a shame unto a man in the scriptures. So how do you come up with the image that you got? I don't get it. Right? Totally opposite of what the scriptures say, and of the coming of thy coming, and of the end of the world, right? Which means this age. And Yahushai, right? The letter J is only 4,500 years old, created by a man named Giorgio Trissino, right? It's basically created. It never existed. The Lord is a Hebrew Israelite. His real name is Yahushai. Answered and said unto them, take heed that no man deceive you, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am Hamashiachim, and shall deceive many. They're gonna say, yeah, and we can break down the Bible. We know that. We'll go precept upon precept, line upon line. Keep the law. We're your fringes, brother. Come over here. We the real nigga university, right? Come over here. We carry guns when we go to camp. See? Right? They tell you all sorts of manner of things, See, we the debate kings, right? They tell you all sorts of things. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines. Right? They tell you get your stockpile together, get your supplies together. They're telling this to Europe. They have not put that in one paper in America to stockpile and get your supplies together. But in Europe, they're telling their citizens to get their supplies together. But you a bunch of simple so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians. You ain't paying attention to nothing. You don't know what's going on, right? Everything is just being passive. Yeah, right? You don't give a damn, right? And there shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in diverse places, man. And that's the thing that's going on, man. Yeah, so Revelation chapter 3, verse 11, behold, which means feast your eyes, look, pay attention. I come quickly, which is Yahweh Shai, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. Behold, hold that fast, right? Hold on to your knowledge. Hold on to what you have. Keep that faith, right? Keep pushing. Keep faith. Don't let go. Which thus hast that no man take thy crown. Yeah, so this is Revelation chapter 22, verse 12. And behold, which means feast your eyes, look, pay attention. I come quickly, which is Yahweh Shai, and my reward is with me to give every man according to his works, whether it be good or evil. I am Alpha, right? Which means the beginning, right? He's right. Everything starts with him. He's and I believe Alpha goes into power too, right? Being Yeah, I believe it goes into like a power, like um like a strong ox or something, like power, right? Representing power, like a headship, power, right? Alpha and omega, omega meaning end. So he said, I'm the beginning, I'm the end, right? Which he gonna reiterate that, right? He's gonna give you the definition. I am alpha and omega, right? And give you the definition, the beginning and the end, the first and the last, man. So everything begins and ends with Yahweh Bashem Shai, right? His only begotten son, Yahweh Shai, who the world ignorant calls Jesus Christ, right? The Lord, the Father, and the Son are separate. They're two different entities, and the Father gave his Son all power, basically, right? Like the first time he came, he didn't come to judge. It's not that he didn't have power. It's just he wasn't coming to execute that power. But this coming now, he's coming to execute all power that was given unto him. Right? It says Revelation 22:20, he which testifieth these things saith, right? Surely, right? The Lord's testifying, right? Right? I believe when you go into the word to testify, it's talking about your testicles, your manhood, right? You're speaking like a man. You know what I mean? What do they call it? Testicular fortitude. You're a man, right? That's what the Lord told him. Gird up thy loins like a man, and that's basically what he's saying. I'm coming with full authority, right? And he which testify these things saith, surely I come, which is Yahweh Shai. I come quickly, man, which means so be it. Even so come, yes, so be it. Even so come out of one, right? Which is Lord, Yahweh Shai, right? Yeah, so this is Second Ezra chapter 13, verse 3. And I beheld, and lo, which means to look, that man waxed strong with the thousands of heaven, which is talking about the angels, which is talking about Yahweh Shai. That man is talking about Yahweh Shai. And when he turned his countenance to look on all the things, trembled that were seen under him. So he's coming in that fathership, and he's coming for business. He's coming for judgment, man, this time. All power, man. And whensoever the voice went out of his mouth, all they burnt that heard his voice, like as the earth felleth when it filleth the fire, right? Right, because judgment, the Lord, hey, the Lord, laser beams are coming out from the chariots, straight judgment, man. Right? And after this, I behold, which means to look, feature eyes look, pay attention, and lo, which means to look, there was gathered together a great multitude during the time of World War III. They're going to be out there fighting, gathering themselves together to come against America. They're going to shoot that. They're going to have already shot the missiles on America, wiping out all of America and the 2/3, right? They're going to be still in the Middle East fighting each other and all this other stuff. But then when the Lord shows up, they're gonna have to gather themselves together, because they lost a lot of soldiers between fighting against each other, so they're gonna have to come together, right? and fight the Lord. And they gathered together a multitude of men out of number from the four winds of heaven, which is talking about earth, right? From the different places of earth, all these different militaries from around the world as they're fighting in the Middle East, or the valley of Yahweh Shaphat, where they're doing this world war, right? Wherever they're fighting at, and mostly in the valley of Yahweh Shaphat, to subdue the man that came out of the sea, which is talking about the Shemaims out of heaven. The Lord is coming. And says, but I beheld, right, means to look, feast your eyes, pay attention. He, and lo, right, which means looked, he had given himself a great mountain. So he looking on up, and the fathership is huge. The fathership is huge. It looks like a freaking flying mountain, bro. It's huge. And the Lord is angry. And these people are afraid. The whole world is going to be afraid. Right? Even you as a so-called hopeful elect, you're going to be afraid. Because you're not chosen until you're chosen. Right? Nothing is guaranteed until it is, right? So you're not guaranteed. You're gonna look up and see the Lord and be like, "Oh Lord, please, I hope I'm one of like, you're gonna hope you're one of the elect, right? You're gonna fear, right? The Lord demands His fear. You're gonna, hey, and he given himself a great mountain and flew upon it, which is a chariot, what they call UFO, right? Or UAP, huge fathership. So huge. This Ezra's just saying it's like a mountain, bro. Like just huge, right? But I would have seen the region or place where out the hill was driven, and could not, man. Well, because it came from the Shemaims, right? The Lord's coming for business, for judgment. This is all the time of World War III, man. Right? So we need this, man. Even so come, Lord. Right? It says, and after this I beheld, right? And lo, which means to look, all they which gathered together to subdue him, right? They want to fight against the Lord, our Lord, Yahweh Shai, our King, our big brother, our was it he is salvation, or he saves, right? Right? You should call his name. The angel said, you should call his name Yahweh Shai, for he shall save his people, right? He saves, right? Which is his name, or he's salvation, right? Which is Yahweh Shai, right? Giving you the meaning or the definition of his name in the scriptures, right? Go to was it Matthew 1:1-21, gives you the definition of Yahweh Shai's name. He saves, right? But yeah, they all gonna come to subdue him. Were sore afraid. See, and all this, the Lord, hey, you're gonna put fear in them, man. He's gonna demand it. Yet there's fight. He's gonna cause them to go ahead and fight. Hey, and lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude that came, he neither lifted up his hand, neither held sword, nor any instrument of war, but only I saw that he sent out of his mouth, right, out of the chariot, right? It's gonna open up, right? They kind of show you that in Independence Day, in that movie, when it's over the White House and you see the bottom of that chariot and it opens up like that. Then it sends out that blast. That's like the mouth of it opened up. It basically opened up the mouth, and it sent out of his mouth as it had been a blast of fire, and out of the lips a flaming breath, and out of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempest, man. So this is going to be, man, the ultimate day and judgment, right? Not to mention the Karagma has to be on the scene for this to actually happen, right? Because, you know, it's going to be worldwide, you know, famines and deaths and pestilence and people basically giving themselves over to the government in order to save themselves, getting the micro C-hip. But ultimately, this is going to be the time of the second coming of our Lord, and World War III is basically on the horizon, and our Lord is soon to come. So Kwam Yasharallah. Yeah. So I want to give all praises and all honor and all glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakak Wadash. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well and do well. To the elder apostles, bishops in Connecticut, the bishops, the preachers, the teachers, the evangelists, and the four winds, preaching in truth and sincerity, risking your lives more now than ever, the hopeful elect, Shalom. To the Israelite foreigners, who phenotype may look like another nation, but bloodline goes back to Israel through your father and have come back to the fold. Shalom. To your sisters, you Akwathium, who listen and learn under your husband, which is your spiritual leader, with meekness and with silence. You want to say Kwam Yasharallah and a Baba Ball.